And investigators with the Federal Aviation Administration should be in Angel Fire later today. It's where a small plane crashed this weekend, killing all 4 people on it. The crash happened about 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon, right after that plane took off from the Angel Fire Airport. It's here near Highway 434. Investigators have not said what caused the plane to go down. It's a Mooney. Investigators also haven't said exactly who was on it, but firefighters say it was extremely windy and that could have something to do with the crash. And someone at the airport tells us 2 adults and 2 kids could have been on that plane, and an airport official says it was registered out of San Antonio, Texas. Well, today and Wednesday are your chances to give the Department of Justice your 2 cents about Albuquerque's police department. The meetings will be like this one from last month. One of them is today from 4:30 to 6:30 at the Borellis Community Center. Another is on Wednesday from 6 to 8 at the Palo Duro Senior Center. The Department of Justice is investigating the police here because of more than 24 shootings that officers have been involved in the past few years, plus a number of cases of police being accused of abusing their power. And policing the group that's supposed to police the police. Yeah, it sounds a little confusing, but it's what Albuquerque City Council is supposed to talk about tonight. Councilors should vote on a plan to create a Police Oversight Commission task force. It'll watch over the Police Oversight Commission, which is supposed to watch over the police. And they'll have meetings this month to get your input on how to make the police and the commission better. Councilors are also set to vote on a plan to officially support a bill in the Roundhouse that would keep people who are mentally ill from buying guns at gun shows. Well, we are learning more about how those massive federal budget cuts could affect New Mexico very soon, including the small airports in Santa Fe, Roswell, and the one in Hobbs.
Yeah, they could lose their airport control towers. However, it isn't clear what impact this will have on service. Now, there is no doubt the cuts are coming. What isn't clear is where the cuts are going to take place. The Department of Finance estimates that the sequester's direct impact to the state budget is about $100 million. In lost federal money, with a indirect impact of around $100 million in lost revenue. So the state finance secretary, Tom Clifford, says that while the gridlock in Congress makes planning difficult, the state is prepared.
We've got a pretty cautious budget outlook and adequate reserves. So I think we're actually in about as good a shape as we could be to deal with something like this.
The current state budget on the table right now has about $240 million in increased spending, with a 1% pay hike for state workers. But that could change if the cuts hit us hard enough. Governor Susana Martinez could call a special session to deal with all of this. Former Lieutenant Governor Diane Denish is squashing rumors that she was planning to run for the mayor of Albuquerque. Denish, a Democrat who lost to Governor Susana Martinez back in 2010, announced on her Facebook page that now is not the time for her to be running. Mayor R.J. Berry is running for re-election, and 4 other people have already announced that they are running against him. There is still no vote to confirm New Mexico's Education Secretary designate Hanna Skandera. Committee Chairwoman Linda Lopez says Skandera will likely be questioned this coming week. Teachers and their unions urged senators to reject Skandera's appointment. They say she is not qualified because a state education secretary, they say, needs to be an experienced educator. Now, some opponents feel her out-of-state experience is irrelevant. Now, Skandera's supporters, however, say she's done a good job and brings needed reform. No matter what the committee decides, the full Senate still has to vote on her confirmation.
A basketball player from New Mexico State University is now back on the team, even though he's officially been indicted in a brutal fight. A grand jury indicted Tyrone Watson on battery charges last Thursday, a day before he rejoined the Aggies. Police say Watson badly beat up another student at a party back in January.
Well, you are going to have to deal with 2 big traffic trouble spots in Albuquerque this morning.
That's right. The first one is at Jefferson and Osuna. It's where a big construction project is getting started today. News 13's David Romero is out there with what you need to know. David, how big a mess is this making?
Matt, you can already see those orange barrels lined up behind me. There's a whole maze of them already ready to go through this area. And if you're coming through this busy area, either give yourself plenty of time to get through here or find another way around, because the city's going to be putting in storm drains, and it's not going to be an overnight deal. As a matter of fact, the city estimates the project is going to run through the month of June. This is according to a project manager at the city's Department of Municipal Development who spoke with the Albuquerque Journal. There is about 1,400 feet of storm drain improvements around the Osuna and Jefferson Jefferson intersection. So drivers, heads up, you will be squeezed down to one lane in each direction with all traffic on the northbound lanes of Jefferson and the westbound lanes of Osuna. Again, much like the Unser project we told you about a couple of weeks ago, the city says there were plenty of these electronic billboards up warning drivers that they should find an alternative route or seek different routes this morning, so it should be as no surprise to anybody coming through this area. Matt, back to you.
All right, thank you for the heads up, David. Can't tell us you haven't been warned. By the way, that project's supposed to cost about $720,000. Elizabeth?
Another traffic trouble spot we want to tell you about is over in the South Valley this morning. This video is just in right here. It shows a huge sinkhole on 2nd Street just south of Rio Bravo. Now, all traffic right now is blocked between Rio Bravo and Prosperity. Our news crew says that traffic is diverted onto Broadway. You want to make sure you avoid this area. Sinkholes are something you definitely don't want to play around with. And we will soon get the first real look at a gaping sinkhole that swallowed a man from inside of his Florida home. This has made national news in the last few days. Demolition crews finished their work and are clearing the debris there. Hopefully we will have a better look at the sinkhole today. Until now, the opening of the sinkhole has been covered by the home, but once officials and engineers can see inside it more clearly, they could begin planning on how to deal with this. Experts say the sinkhole has compromised homes on either side. The victim basically was sleeping in his bed just a few days ago when this sinkhole opened up underneath his bedroom, swallowed him. Just such a devastating situation. Brother was there, actually heard his cry for help. Can you imagine? So yeah, you and I both lived in Florida, so we know that sinkholes are
right. Those
common
kinds of
over
sinkholes,
there.
because Florida sits on an aquifer, basically water, very soft rock and water, so it's not uncommon for these gaping holes just to open up, swallow people's homes and all other things, and occasionally they turn out to be very tragic.
Yeah.